After 23 years of marriage, you think you know the person sitting across from you. We were at our anniversary dinner, supposed to be celebrating us, when my wife got up and kissed another man in the parking lot. I saw the whole thing through the restaurant window. I was ready to bolt out of my chair and cause a scene, but right then, an older guy at the next table stood up. He walked over, calm as could be, and laid out the truth about her boss. This was the second time she'd stepped outside that night. The first time, about 15 minutes earlier, she'd squeezed my hand and blamed a work emergency, some issue with a booking. I fell for it. But the second time, she didn't even touch me. She just grabbed her phone and headed for the door without a backward glance. I turned in my seat, watching her through the front glass, past the hostess stand, and right out into the lot. She crossed the pavement toward a black SUV parked way in the back. The driver rolled down his window, an arm reached out, and she leaned in. They kissed with a kind of casual rhythm, the way people do when they've been together forever. It wasn't a new kiss, it was familiar. Honestly, that was the part that really tore into me, not the act itself, but the practiced way she did it. I have to stop and ask, what would you do in this situation? Would you have charged out there right then, or stayed in your seat? Leave a comment with your thoughts. I stood up so fast my chair scraped against the floor. I didn't have a strategy, I just wanted to get out there and scream their names in front of the valet and anyone else within earshot. That's when the man from the next table, maybe 60 years old, stepped right in front of me. He didn't ask if I wanted company, he just blocked my path and spoke low. His name is Graham Alstead, he told me. He owns her hotel. I know because he did the exact same thing to my wife 3 years ago. You've got 2 minutes to decide if you want to handle this in the dirt out there, or if you want to do it the right way. I looked at him, then past him at the window where my wife was still standing by that car. He told me to sit for 1 minute, just 60 seconds, and then I could do whatever I wanted. I sat. Maybe it was because his voice was so steady, or maybe because the name, Graham, fit too perfectly. She'd talked about this boss for 6 years like he was just a boring piece of office furniture. He sat in my wife's empty chair, keeping his coat on. He told me there had been 4 women before her that he knew of. Graham's play was always the same: pick an assistant manager, keep her around for a couple of years, and the moment she asks him to leave his wife, he ghosts her and moves on to the next one. This guy's wife had been number 3. I asked him how he knew to be here tonight. He said a friend had spotted the 2 of them in Graham's car a week ago after the hotel closed. That friend recognized my wife and called him. This man had been eating dinner at this restaurant every single night since Tuesday, just waiting for me. He handed me a business card with a name and number scribbled on the back, Sarah Minter in Tucson. She was number 4, and she was willing to talk. Call her Monday morning, he said, buttoning his coat to leave. One more thing, don't do this tonight. Do it cold. Cold hurts a man like that much more. He disappeared out the side door before I could even say thanks. I sat there, gripping that card, as my wife walked back across the lot. She was fixing her hair and sliding her phone into her purse, looking like she didn't have a care in the world. She sat down, took a sip of her wine, and gave me that private smile I'd loved for over 2 decades. She apologized, claiming a bridal party was being difficult. I looked at her, really looked at her, and realized I was staring at a complete stranger. I signaled the waiter for the check immediately. She was confused that we weren't staying for dessert, but I just told her I was exhausted. On the ride home, she rambled on about a bridal party that didn't exist while I kept my hand steady on the wheel, feeling that business card against my chest. Once we pulled into the driveway, I lied. I told her I had an early flight to Atlanta for a client. She didn't doubt me for a second, she'd stopped keeping track of my life a long time ago. I told her I'd sleep in the guest room to avoid waking her up at 4 a.m. I didn't sleep, though. I packed a bag in the dark and went downstairs around 3 a.m. Her purse was right there on the counter. I checked her phone. The texts with Graham went back 14 months. I didn't even read them, I just watched the dates fly by. Our anniversary, her mother's hospital stay, birthdays, Christmas Eve, she had messaged him on every one of those days. I put the phone back exactly where I found it and left. I checked into a motel an hour north and buried myself in work to keep from falling apart. I spent the week closing deals, eating at the diner across the street, and waiting. Cold hurts more, the man had said. He was right. Monday morning at 9, I called Sarah Minter. She answered like she'd been sitting by the phone, her voice sounding worn out. "Timon told me you'd call," she said. I asked how long it lasted. 8 months. I asked how it ended. She told me the moment she asked him to leave his wife, he stopped taking her calls. 2 days later, her key card to the office was deactivated. She just walked away. Then she started filling in the blanks. She mentioned the expensive perfume he bought, the same bottle sitting on my wife's dresser. She mentioned the conferences in Charlottesville where he kept an apartment. My wife had been to 4 of those this year. The late Thursday nights. My wife hadn't been home before 11 p.m. on a Thursday in a year. Sarah even quoted the line about his marriage being over in everything but paperwork, the exact same thing my wife had said to me months ago. I asked Sarah if she'd put it all in writing. She told me she already had 3 years ago, and that the file was mine if I wanted it. I gave her my email and waited for the truth to land in my inbox. The email hit my inbox 20 minutes later. I didn't waste any time. By noon, I was sitting in a lawyer's office, the same guy who handled my brother's messy split, and by 4 p.m., the divorce petition was drafted and signed. He filed it the second the courthouse doors opened on Tuesday morning while I was making the drive back home. When I walked into the kitchen at 6 a.m., my wife was standing at the counter in her robe, just pouring a cup of coffee. She looked up, and for a split second, I saw pure shock on her face before she tried to mask it with that soft, wife, expression she'd perfected. "You're back early," she said. I didn't answer. I just set my bag by the door, walked over to the kitchen island, and laid a flat piece of paper on the granite between us. It was a list, names, cities, and the dates they happened. Right at the top, I'd printed Sarah Minter's phone number in big, bold letters. She didn't touch the paper. Her hand just gripped the handle of that coffee pot until her knuckles turned white. "Wes," she started, her voice shaking. "You're not the first," I told her, kept my voice low and steady. "You're the 5th one I know about. That number at the top. That's Sarah. She lasted 8 months before he ghosted her because she asked him to leave his wife. Just like the 3 women before her." She set the pot down, her mouth hanging open. "It's not like that," she stammered. "He's leaving her. He told me. He told every single one of them that," I said. "Call Sarah and ask her yourself. The petition was filed this morning, Dylan. You'll have the papers at the door by the end of the week. The house is mine, the accounts are frozen. You can keep what's in your purse." I grabbed my bag and walked out. She called my name one last time, but I didn't look back. I went straight to the office and answered emails for 2 hours like it was any other Tuesday. I let her sister's calls and her own calls go straight to voicemail. Around 1 p.m., I called Timon. I told him I needed 15 minutes with his wife. He was quiet for a second, then told me her name was Caitlin and where to find her, 20th floor of the Riley Marsh building downtown. "Don't bring a lawyer," he warned. "Just bring that page. I've got to ask you, if you held the power to take down the person who ruined your marriage, would you go through with it? Or would you just walk away? Leave a comment with your thoughts." Wednesday afternoon, I took the elevator up to a corner office. Caitlin was younger than I expected, still wearing her wedding band, and she wasn't interested in small talk. I laid the list on her desk, the same 4 names, the same number on top. "Your husband is with my wife," I told her plainly. The 4 names above hers are the women he's cycled through over the last 15 years. Sarah Minter has a written statement from 3 years ago. She'll send it to you tonight if you ask. Caitlin picked up the paper. Her hand was steady, but I could see her jaw working as she processed it. 15 years, she whispered. She looked out the window for a long time, and when she turned back, her eyes were like flint. She asked why I came to her instead of just walking away. Because he isn't going to stop, I said. And my wife wasn't the first one he lied to about you. She just nodded and picked up her phone. I was gone before her assistant could even validate my parking. By Friday, Caitlin had filed for divorce. By Monday, the word had spread through the local business scene like wildfire. The wives found out first, and they talk. By Wednesday, her firm had pulled 3 of the Hawthorne Inn's biggest corporate accounts. She'd brought those clients in, and she took them with her. Dylan moved out that Friday, heading to her sister's place. She left a note on the counter, but I didn't even open it. I just tossed it in a drawer. 2 weeks later, my lawyer called, sounding baffled. He'd never seen a divorce this clean. After 23 years, she could have fought for the house, the retirement, everything, but she signed it all away. She was done. A month later, a letter arrived on heavy cream paper. No return address. Just 2 lines, he would have had another year of me if you hadn't come. I won't forget it. I kept that one. I threw Dylan's note in the trash. It's been 8 months now. I heard the Hawthorne Inn is up for sale, the "for sale" sign is hanging right over the front gate. I saw Graham there the other day while I was driving by. He looked thinner, older, standing in the lot arguing with a guy with a clipboard. I actually pulled over, walked right up to him, and told him to his face, there were 4 before mine. You won't get another. Your wife knows, the bank knows, and every client you had knows. You did this to yourself. I drove away and didn't look back. These days, the house is quiet, and I've grown to like it that way. I repainted the kitchen, retiled the hall, and finally reclaimed my space. I'm heading out on a fishing trip with my brother next weekend, just us, a boat, and some beer. Dylan's working at a real estate office now, and Graham moved in with his mother after the hotel went under. Caitlin remarried a partner at her firm last month. As for me, I'm finally catching up on the things I've been meaning to fix around the house. I finally have the time.